So I found myself inquiring about some things the other day, and as is often the case when I inquire about things and they're meaningful to me, I share them with you folks. And I guess this is the case. So what I was kind of thinking about was how at some level, at a basic kind of essential level, that everything is a relationship. Obviously we have our relationship with our significant others, with our family, with our friends, you know, um, and then we have as well that kind of extends in a more spiritual view to a relationship with nature, a relationship to the planet, a relationship to God or to spirit, and at some level too, a relationship with ourselves, and how we see ourselves. Do we respect ourselves? Do we respect nature? And so the other thing that I noticed in my musings, and this isn't the first time I've noticed this, but what came next in my inquiry is that, we tend to have, each of us tends to have kind of a relationship pattern, that we kind of, it's almost like it has different nuances and different expressions, but we tend to relate to people and to things in basically the same way. So the way I relate to my significant other may not be that different than the way I relate to friends, the way I relate to my boss, the way I relate to my community, and even the way I relate to nature and to God. It's like these things tend to, we have this same relationship pattern, which was often, a little psychological, was usually formed in childhood and developed and formed by our experiences and our past relationships and relationships with our parents and all that. And we come out of this thing with a basic way of relating. And then we, now if it's to God, it's different than my significant other and different to my boss or whatever else, but they still have a lot of these same qualities, and bear with me. I know this is, and then, so then what are some of those things? And I wrote a few of them down. I don't normally read, and I'm not going to read, but I'm going to peek at my notes here because I want to just lay out a few of the different patterns that we might have, or some of the, the kind of the categories of maybe, and you can take from this as you will. So one thing might be relating as a sense like I belong, like when we relate, I belong in this relationship, I belong to be here, versus, of course, I don't belong in this community. I don't belong to be a part of this situation. And I'm more like on the outside looking in. And then of course all of these are kind of a continuum, right? I belong on one side, I don't belong on the other. Another similar one, maybe a variation of this, might be I'm part of. I'm part of the experience that I'm in. I'm part of nature, I'm part of my community, versus, I'm separate, and I'm not part of. And that's another continuum. Another dimension, I'm going to call it, might be I deserve to be here, versus I am worthy and I deserve to be here, versus I'm not really worthy and deserving to be here. I'm deserving love and beauty in this relationship, versus I'm not. Then another variation of that might be, I've got guilt and shame, and there's something wrong with me, or I've done something wrong, to be more guilt, versus I'm okay and I'm lovable, and beliefs about, I am lovable, versus I've done something wrong, so therefore I'm more tentative in my relationships, and I have to be really nice in order to get love. And a couple of faces of that might be, I need to be a real good boy or a real nice girl or a real good girl, and I need to be really nice, so people will like me. And if I'm really nice, then maybe people will say I'm okay, and maybe I'll be lovable. Others of us have more of, I need to act out or be more the bad boy, or I need to be, I need to cause trouble and be mischievous and kind of act out, or be dramatic or be seductive, or, need to be really sexy, or, whatever else it might be, in order to get people, to like me and love me. And then one last dimension, and I'll move on from my list here, is that, there may be another dimension of I have to earn it, versus on the other side, it's like it's owed to me, and like I mean, and it's owed to me, and maybe a balance, somewhere in the middle might be good with these. But some of us have that Protestant work ethic where if I don't earn it and I don't work hard, it doesn't have value, and others are more, or others of us might be more entitled, like it was maybe things were always given to us, or a parent, like, showed our love, his or her love for us by giving us things and gifting us things. So it's it's owed to us in a way. And I'm going to say none of these things, some of these things sound worse than others, and none of these things are bad, but it's I think it's really good. My invitation then is to kind of maybe you've I'm sure you've thought about this, but to kind of maybe with me, maybe inquire. It's like, I wonder what my relationship style, how does it seem to be when I meet a new group? Am I really nice? Or am I more outside looking in? Am I shy? Am I like overly loud? Like, do I need to be the center of attention? Am I more a wallflower? And these are all like clues, of how, what our relationship style, our relationship pattern is. So, and then notice it, like how it might express itself in different situations, how it might express myself in my relationship, in my marriage, how it might express myself when I'm part of community, how it might express itself in my family, how it might express myself in nature, how I might express myself with God or with spirit. How do I view it with myself? How does it express myself how do I treat myself? And how does it, like, what reflection of it is in that, and so once we become aware, as always, right? Once we become aware of what our pattern is, and how we extend it, then we get a choice, right? Awareness always gives us a choice. Once I become aware of my pattern, then I have the choice whether to continue it or to create something else, And so if I feel like I don't belong, or I'm not worthy, once I realize that, then I can do some work on myself, is what it usually takes. However you do that, you could do coaching or self-inquiry, or read books, or meditate a lot, or whatever you do is, but work on yourself till you get to the point where, I do belong and I do deserve love, and so that becomes a possibility. And then that gets to extended into all these different things, right? Then it's like, I belong. If I just take that one, like, I'm a part of, I belong here. I belong. And then I belong in my marriage. I belong in my community. I belong in my family, whether they realize it or not. I belong at the country club. I belong, in the hood. I belong wherever that is. I belong in nature. Okay, and I belong, as I belong with God and with spirit, exactly as I am, and I'm equal, or I'm another one of the dimensions that I didn't mention is, am I equal, or am I higher or lower? Do I put myself higher or lower? Or sometimes I might put myself lower, sometimes I put myself higher. So I guess the continuum would be, am I more equal, or am I always higher or lower that's another thing. So if I'm equal, then I'm an equal member in my marriage, and then I'm an equal member in my community and in my family. And there's no hierarchy anymore. I'm equal, and then I'm equal with God, which is a real tough one. I call that one sometimes the ultimate self-worth is being equal with spirit. But then so it can translate, and we can extend it. If we have a strength in relationship, we can extend it to nature. If we have, a lot of times we feel that we can be ourselves in nature, so then we can extend that to these other dimensions. So anyway, I don't want, that is my video for this week. Hopefully it brings you value. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome week, and that you maybe think about your relationship with life and the various dimensions. What is your pattern, and then what do you choose to have a different pattern with, and have a more, belonging and deserving and loving relationship with life. So I will see you in a week.